Hi everyone, welcome to BrickVault. My name's Jack. Today we've got a big old Star Wars set for you. This is the newest version of the clone turbo tank. So let me read the stats off real quick. It is recommended for ages 9 to 14. It is set number 75151 and it has 903 pieces. This might be the third or fourth turbo tank that we've gotten from LEGO. 4 minifigs are included. We've got Luminara, Quinlan Vos, Clone Commander Gree, and an Elite Corps Trooper, as well as 2 battle droids. It doesn't look too bad from the outside, and based on the pictures on the back of the box, I'd say this is definitely a playset at heart. This vehicle definitely has a lot of functions, and I'm really curious to see how this thing feels when you lean it side to side. There's no point in wondering about these functions. I might as well open up the box and find out. Alright, so inside the box we've got bags labeled up to the number 6, a single bag unmarked with a number but has a ton of wheels inside, a very large manual with what I don't believe are any stickers, so let's get started right now. Alright, that was a good build. Definitely a lot of Technic involved here, but let's check out these minifigs first. Here is the latest and greatest version of Luminara, and she's looking really good. There's a lot of brown, black, and gold involved with this one, as well as a little bit of reflective copper highlighting on the hips and legs. In general, the printing detail for this fig is awesome. She's got 2 very nice expressions, and comes with one of the new soft cloth capes. This set also comes with a new version of Quinlan Vos, and he too shows some very nice improvements. Great printing detail on the torso piece, and that detailing matches up really nicely on the hips and legs. I really feel like we're hitting a point with LEGO minifig detailing where it's really going to get hard to improve upon things like this. His character has 2 great expressions, and I gotta say this is a much better hairpiece than the one that was used last time. Moving on to the troopers, our Clone Commander Gree looks great. He's got a kind of Kashyyyk camo going on for his suit, and once again it does feel like it would be very hard to improve upon his detailing. and I like how there is a lot of black armor showing through underneath. He of course comes with an angry clone face, and let's check out the Elite Core Trooper. The body is made of a bit more of the olive plastic, and he has more of the same camo printing all over his armor and utility belt. These are great for minifigs that came with the set. I'll say that they are improvements on all fronts, which is kind of my opinion of the Clone Turbo Tank. Like I said in the beginning, this build is at heart a playset, and after taking a closer look at this thing, I gotta say the designers did a pretty good job putting this thing together. I'm liking the way this whole thing looks on the outside for the most part. There's a lot of nice builds in the front for some floodlights, and also I like these anti-personnel cannons that are a little bit posable in the front. And as you move down the turbo tank, you can see just a lot of really nice plate detailing. When we get to the midsection here, the first things that I'm not a big fan of, at least the way they look, are these very well exposed spring-loaded shooters on the sides. The original weapons for the turbo tank have a bit of posability if I remember correctly, and I can see how a pop-out function might have been kind of tough to pull off in this section of the build, but I guess I've accepted at this point that I'm always going to have a problem with exposed spring-loaded shots, at least if they're exposed on a central part of the build. Other than that, I don't think there's anything too lacking, and I like the rest of the detailing that goes all the way towards the rear. Generally, the underside of the turbo tank doesn't really look that good with all this exposed Technic though, but when I see how well the turn function works here, I feel like everything is forgiven. When you lean the turbo tank side to side, that actually operates the turning function, and it makes this big vehicle actually feel pretty maneuverable. I think in any case, I always prefer rubber on the wheels as opposed to just bare plastic, but in the turbo tank's defense, they get a surprising amount of traction. So it's nice to see that none of these wheels are stopping and getting stuck, or just scraping around on the ground as you try to roll the vehicle. Everything feels pretty responsive in that sense, and that makes for a pretty successful function in my book. Alright, let's check out the interior, of which there is quite a bit. When you look here, just about every single panel on this turbo tank opens up. In terms of a playset, this is awesome. It's all about accessibility, and I don't really care so much about what this thing looks like on the inside. It's supposed to be structurally sound, and if there's a lot of Technic showing, then that's just part of it. This isn't actually for display here, it's just for play. Starting off at the front of the turbo tank, just about everything is open here, but you can see the cockpit, which has two spots. Just a simple steering wheel piece on one side, and on the other side we've got this wedge piece with a brand new mechanical print. Taking a closer look at that, it looks really nice, and some of you might be happy to know that we got 3 of these new prints in the set. Moving back to the mid section, which is still completely open, you'll notice a yellow knob. You can rotate this knob to lift the observation deck up and down, but this is kind of tedious, and it's a lot easier to just grab the bird's nest and pull it up and down on your own. In the center of the build, there's a lot of space, and this is supposed to be where you actually put the folded up ATRT. It kind of just rests there, and I guess you could store other things inside this spot, but whatever you store there has to be at least decent sized, because there is a lot of exposed space there that will fall out towards those wheels. Moving a little bit further back, we've got this smaller storage area here that holds a yellow crate, and inside that are some extra stud shots and some thermal detonator pieces. Alright, now moving all the way to the back, the rear plates open up on the top and the bottom, which makes this, I think, the most enclosed spot on the entire turbo tank, even though there's plenty of access to be had. Inside there is another control panel spot, and 2 clips in the back, one for holding the blaster rifle of the trooper, and the other one holds his coffee. And we're moving on to the ATRT. It's got a bit of olive green on the outside, which looks nice, and it's supposed to match with that Kashyyyk camo. And the general design for this walker doesn't have a huge amount of differences between some of the previous ones. I do like, however, that the handle grips in the front have a lot of posability. They kind of move around on a couple of joints, and this makes it so you can either sit the clone trooper down and have him operate the walker, or if you want, he can stand up in the walker and still operate the vehicle just fine. But other than that, the thing is well balanced. It can be posed in a few different positions, and it's got a posable stud shot in the front that should be very easy for kids to play with. Okay, now I think we actually just finished the entire set. Here it is all together. Just to reiterate, all 4 of these minifigs look really great. I'm very happy with the updated prints all around, and I'm also pretty darn happy with the way the turbo tank turned out. On the outside, my only real gripe with the way it looks are those exposed spring-loaded shots right in the center, but really that's actually kind of the only gripe I have. The tank looks good, and there's a lot of well-built and easily accessible play functions. Oh yeah, and there's also one thing I forgot to mention, and this is probably good that I forgot to mention it until so late because it's such a well-hidden function, but there's also a handle that connects directly to the Technic body, so if you want to move this turbo tank around a little bit more easily, you can pull it up from nearly the center, and that's just one more bit of convenience. Oh wait, dang it, there's actually one more thing I also forgot, and that is that the set does come with enemies, and they are 2 standard battle droids with blaster rifles. Now we are done. Alright, so that is it for this episode. If you want to pick up this Clone Turbo Tank set, I will leave a link in the video description below. If you enjoy our content, feel free to subscribe, and thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time at BrickVault.